A city of faith and frenzy, Jerusalem in Jesus' time. The air crackled with anticipation, a palpable energy that seemed to touch every corner of the city. Jerusalem, the heart of Judea, pulsed with life, a vibrant tapestry of cultures and traditions. It was the time of the Feast of Tabernacles, a significant Jewish festival, and pilgrims from distant lands thronged the city, filling it with a sense of purpose and devotion. They came seeking spiritual renewal, their hearts yearning for God's blessing, hoping to find solace and strength in their faith. Yet, beneath the surface of religious fervor, a current of political tension and social unrest simmered, threatening to disrupt the fragile peace. Jerusalem in the first century was a city of stark contrasts, where grandeur and poverty coexisted side by side. Grand structures like the temple, a testament to Jewish faith and architectural prowess, dominated the skyline, standing as symbols of hope and resilience. But narrow, winding streets told a different story, one of daily struggles and the harsh realities of life. They were crowded with people from all walks of life, each with their own stories and dreams. The wealthy elite, clad in fine robes, brushed shoulders with beggars in rags, a stark reminder of the social divide. Roman authority cast a long shadow over the city, their presence a constant reminder of the empire's control. Their presence was a constant reminder of their dominion, a source of tension and resentment among the Jewish populace. The Jewish people, fiercely proud of their heritage and traditions, chafed under Roman rule, longing for freedom and self-determination. They longed for a Messiah, a deliverer promised by the prophets of old, someone who would lead them to liberation and restore their nation. Into this volatile mix stepped Jesus of Nazareth, a figure who would change the course of history. He was a rabbi from a humble background, yet his teachings resonated with the common people, offering them hope and a new perspective on faith. His words offered hope and challenged the religious elite, questioning their authority and practices. His very presence was a lightning rod, igniting controversy and attracting attention wherever he went, leaving an indelible mark on the city and its people. The Feast of Tabernacles, or Sukkot, was a time of great joy and celebration. It was a week-long festival commemorating the Israelites' 40 years of wandering in the wilderness after their exodus from Egypt. During this time, they relied on God's provision for food, water, and shelter. To remember this dependence on God, Jewish families constructed temporary shelters, or sukkahs, from branches and leaves. They lived in these makeshift dwellings throughout the festival, a tangible reminder of God's faithfulness. Each day they would gather in the temple courts. There they would participate in elaborate rituals, including the pouring of water, a symbol of God's life-giving presence. The Feast of Tabernacles was not merely a remembrance of past events, it was a vibrant expression of faith, a celebration of God's enduring presence and provision in the lives of his people. It was a time to reflect on their dependence on God, to offer thanksgiving for his blessings, and to anticipate the fulfillment of his promises. The morning sun cast long shadows across the temple courts, painting the ancient stones with a golden hue. The air buzzed with activity as pilgrims made their way for morning prayers, their footsteps echoing through the bustling marketplace. It was during this sacred time, amidst the throngs of worshippers, that a group of Pharisees, the religious leaders of the day, orchestrated a public spectacle, drawing attention to themselves. They dragged a woman before Jesus, her face a mask of shame and fear, her eyes darting around, seeking mercy in a sea of judgmental faces.
Teacher, this woman was caught in adultery, in the very act. What do you say we should do with her?
Their words cut through the murmur of the crowd, silencing the whispers and drawing all eyes to the scene unfolding before them. The crowd, curious and expectant, watched intently, their daily routines momentarily forgotten. The Pharisees, with their meticulously observed piety and strict interpretation of the law, were masters of public displays of righteousness, always eager to showcase their devotion. This, however, was no ordinary confrontation. It was a moment charged with tension and anticipation. This was a carefully orchestrated trap designed to test Jesus' wisdom and challenge his authority, a cunning plan to discredit him. The law of Moses was clear on the punishment for adultery. Death by stoning, a severe and irreversible sentence. Yet, Roman law forbade the Jews from carrying out capital punishment. The Pharisees knew this, and they saw an opportunity to trap Jesus. They presented Jesus with a seemingly impossible dilemma, a question that could trap him no matter how he answered. If he upheld the Mosaic law, he would be seen as inciting rebellion against Rome, a dangerous position to take. If he showed leniency, he would be accused of disregarding the law and discrediting himself as a teacher, undermining his authority and message. The woman stood silently, her head bowed low, her entire body trembling. She was a pawn in their game of religious and political maneuvering. Her voice, her story, her very humanity were irrelevant to the men who surrounded her. Her fate seemed sealed, dictated by the whims of those who held power. She was not just a woman, she was a symbol of the broader plight faced by women in ancient Israel. In first century Israel, women lived in a patriarchal society. They had limited social rights and were largely defined by their relationships to men as daughters, wives, or widows. Their testimony held little weight in legal matters, and they were often subject to the whims of men. The societal norms and laws were heavily skewed against them, making their lives a constant struggle for dignity and respect. Adultery was considered a grave sin, a violation of a husband's property rights. Yet, the law's application was often skewed. While the woman was publicly shamed and condemned, the man involved in the act was conspicuously absent. This glaring absence underscored the deep-seated gender biases that permeated the society. The woman bore the brunt of the punishment, while the man escaped unscathed, highlighting the inherent injustice. This double standard highlighted the vulnerability and powerlessness of women in this society. They were often left to navigate a world that was unforgiving and harsh, with little to no support. Their lives were a testament to the resilience and strength required to survive in such an oppressive environment. The Pharisees, blinded by their self-righteousness, seemed oblivious to the woman's plight, or perhaps they simply didn't care. To them, she was a means to an end. They were more concerned with trapping Jesus than with seeking justice or showing compassion. Their actions were a stark reminder of the moral and ethical decay that can arise when power is misused and empathy is cast aside. As the crowd gathered, tensions were high. The Pharisees and the teachers of the law were pressing Jesus for an answer, but Jesus, calm and composed, did something unexpected. Jesus pauses, then speaks. "Let me write on the ground for a moment." In the midst of the chaos, Jesus bent down and began to write with his finger on the ground. The crowd watched in silence, puzzled by his actions. Jesus, writing thoughtfully, "There's a lesson to be learned here." The significance of his actions was not immediately clear, but all eyes were fixed on him, waiting for what he would do next. The Pharisees, eager to trap Jesus, continued to press him for an answer. They demanded a judgment on the woman caught in adultery. Pharisee or demanding teacher, this woman was caught in the act of adultery. In the law, Moses commanded us to stone such women. Now what do you say? Jesus, still writing on the ground, paused and looked up at them. Jesus, calmly, "Let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." His words hung in the air, challenging the accusers to reflect on their own lives. One by one, they began to leave, starting with the oldest. Jesus addressing the woman. "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" The woman, realizing her accusers had left, responded with a newfound sense of hope. "Jesus, kindly, then neither do I condemn you. Go now and leave your life of sin." With those words, Jesus not only saved the woman, but also imparted a profound lesson on mercy and self-reflection.
"Neither do I condemn you. Go now and leave your life of sin."
Thank you, Lord. I will start anew.
Master, your compassion changes lives. It gives hope to the hopeless.
Indeed, the power of compassion is transformative. It reaches into the depths of human despair and offers a lifeline.
Even when we feel lost and broken, God never stops seeking us.
God's love is relentless. It pursues the brokenhearted, offering healing and restoration.
We must embrace the forgiveness we've received and extend that grace to others.
Forgiveness and grace are the cornerstones of a renewed life. By embracing these principles, we can transform our communities and ourselves.